Okay guys, 2013 Dodge Journey. I'm going to show you how to change the brake pads and rotors. So your brake pads sit right here, and they got a spring right here and a tab right here. Pull this tab loose and they just slide right out. And that's your pads. I've never seen pads more toast than this. That's the worst I've ever seen, and the rotors are even pretty terrible, as you can see right here. Because my wife doesn't stop gradually, she does an oh my god stop all at once, and everything flies in the car because she doesn't know how to drive. So we're going to change out the rotors too. So in order to change these out, you've got two screws, one here and one here. Okay, and those are your bolts, and they are both 13 millimeter, and they sit right there. And this housing removes just like that, and that's where your bolts will go in right there. Now you want to keep all the pressure off the hose here, so you want to rest this housing up on top here, and just make sure that no weight gets carried by that line right there, your brake line. Okay, so we've got the housing up on top, all the weight's off the line, line's fine. So we're going to come back and we're going to take out these two. They are 3/16 bolts, and those are going to come out. There's one of your 3/16 bolts right there, and both of those are going to have to come out, and you will need a cheater bar to loosen those. Okay, after that, this housing will come loose. Set that aside. Keep your bolts inserted so you don't lose those. That's important. And then your rotors. And then these are the rotors, and these are going to need to come off if they need to be replaced. Okay, now these are free. Take them off. You can see these are totally toast. Oh my gosh. Alright guys, so what I'm doing is I'm taking my brake rotors and pads down to Napa, where I'm going to buy the new ones, but there's so many variations, and I can get their opinion on a lot of things, on sizes and options, and make sure I got the right ones, because when there are several variations, I've learned over time it saves you a trip from going back to the store because you got the wrong ones for some reason. Also, I'd like to get another opinion from those guys on the shape that the rotors are in. And my wife is an absolutely terrifying driver, guys, so they are in bad shape. I hate the rides in Florida at Disney World, and it's just like that riding with my wife. So anyhow, we'll get this fixed and go from there. Alright guys, got my brake pads and my rotors, and I was right. I brought the brake pads down, and they had the same part number as another vehicle, another Dodge that's a totally different pad. So it always pays off, guys, every time. Bring your parts down to the auto store of your choice where you're getting your auto parts. It just saves you a trip, and I've never been smart enough to do it until now, and thank God I did, because I don't need to make another trip back to Napa to get the right pads. Alright guys, time to put all this in here. Step 1, rotor on. Step 2. Okay guys, be really careful. Don't get any grime or rocks or any kind of debris on this brand new rotor. And here's our housing, and it slips on just like this. Super easy, guys. 2 bolts. One here, one here. And it's that easy. Again, guys, and that's your 3/16. So, you know, I will tighten it down with the regular socket wrench, and then I will use my cheater to make sure it's really good and tight. And that really puts really good torque on there. Not so much that you strip it. Just make sure that's nice and tight. Okay guys, and these are super easy. Spring loaded. Just kind of snug them in just like that. And down here at this end, there you go. They press right in just like that. Same as the other side. Right, the major trick, guys, is this little spring right here. It has to loop in there, back behind the shoe. Holds it really tightly in place. Pad, sorry, not a shoe. These are pads. Okay, so now we've got our pads on, and we've got our rotor, and we are ready to put on the rest of the assembly here. Okay, so as you guys can see, this isn't even close to fitting. So we have to depress the rest of the brake system just so we can fit over the rotor and new pads. So how do we do that? Well, I've got a trick that I do. Right, so that's how I suppress them, guys. And I've done several pairs of brakes and never had any issues. I just suppress it with one of these. But that's how I bring these back, and it gives me plenty of room to clear everything else. All right, guys, now just like that. Right, now we've got the entire assembly on, guys, and we will come out. We'll come through the back side again, line up our screws. All right, so I've got my secondary driver. It's a 13 millimeter, and that's for the bolts here. Okay, nice and snug. Don't strip them. Nice and snug. There we go. Come down. Let's get this guy. All right. Nice and snug. There's our assembly, guys. We have brakes. Right, there we go, guys. Brand new pads, brand new rotor. Everything's tight. We are good. That's one side down.